Hello everybody, it's Richard here again. Come to tell you the story. Let's go back to the city of stories. Let's wait for the storyteller to arrive. And he comes, he's still quite animated. He sits down, he says, I know the king has just blasted a gigantic owlman out of the air with a bag of wind. And I know he's now crouching over his body. But I promised to tell you what happened to the cat. Promise is a promise. So I can tell you that when that raft reached the seaside town, the raft with the queen and the princess and the ash boy and the cat, when the cat jumped onto the wharf and ran through the cobbled streets, disappearing, I can tell you that he never came back. There's your answer. Well, there's a answer anyway. And they waited for him and they waited for him, but he never came. So they wandered through the town and they found jobs. The queen became a sailmaker. And the ash boy found a job in a kitchen. And the princess became a letter writer. So many people thronging that town. Pirates and seafaring folk, fishers, and all sorts of people who made their living and risked their lives on the sea. So many of them wanted to send letters to sweethearts or to make final statements before setting off once again. And day after day, she sat down and she wrote as people spoke. And the princess forgot about her books and her knowledge. And she heard instead people's stories. And every evening they slept on that raft under the stars, covered in the sails. And each one of them, the ash boy, the queen and the princess, took turns to tell the stories they had heard that day. And slowly each one of them became a listener and a teller of tales. But every evening they said, we must find the city of wonders. From there we can get back home. We must find that city. And every day when people came into the princess's shop, she would ask them, do you know where the city of wonders is? And they would always say, never heard of it. Can't be by the sea. We'd have heard of it if it was by the sea. But one day, somebody came into her shop and stood there. She said, yes. He had a black beard. He had long desert robes. He had a furtive expression. He said, can you write things down? Yes, she said. Well, I want you to write it down. My story, write it down. Yes, she said, preparing her quill pen. And then she remembered to ask, I don't suppose you know where the City of Wonders is, do you? At that, the man smiled. City of Wonders? Of course I know where it is. What? She said, you know where it is? Of course I do. She held her quill pen. She said, tell me. Oh, well, it's a long story, he said. I'll tell you the story and then, well, just write it down. She said, proceed. He said, one thing you've got to know about me. I'm a thief, all right? I'm a thief. Didn't want to be. Your family has no food. What else can you do? You understand? And I had some companions. Yes, I miss them, he said. One day we thought we'd go and talk to the emperor himself. So we went to the City of Wonders. And long story short, we met him. And he showed us a horse. a wooden horse. Turned out this wooden horse could fly, and one of us, oh well, it's a long time in the past, sat on that horse, flew off. Should have seen the Emperor. Well, you couldn't really see him, but it was obvious. He wanted us to find that horse. He said he'd give us anything if we found that horse. So we went looking for it. Oh, yes. Halfway across the desert, we met a beggar. Dirty clothes he was wearing. Poor man. Took pity on him. Took him with us. Eventually, we got to a market in the desert. Won't tell you where it is. It's a secret among thieves, all right. We left him with our things. Went off looking for this horse. Somebody surely would have known it or found it. When we came back, the beggar had gone. Well, he must have heard something or learned something or discovered something. Sneaky he was. So I asked around. Turned out, last seen, he'd been running towards the mountain, the big mountain. You know, the one that is made of glass or something. Princess said, proceed. Yeah, oh, well, said the brigand. Got to that mountain, climbed up it. Other side, sheer as glass it was, whoosh, all the way down, whoosh, up in the air, somehow or other, landed in a pond. Can you believe it? Except, at the bottom of that pond, I so happened to see the wooden horse. Yes. Pulled it out. Wasn't too difficult. I knew how to do lots of things. Swim is one of them, you know. Hold your nose, get down there, pull it out. When I got it nice and dry, I sat on it. I pulled the lever, and it flew. It flew. I know you won't believe me. The princess said, proceed. Well, says the beggar, says the brigand. Landed in the sea. That's what I did. Okay, though, pulled it out. Pulled myself out. Now I'm stuck. Now I don't know what to do. But write all this down, because if anybody comes this way looking for me, they need to know, because I'd like to see my friends again. That's what I'd like, said the brigand. Princess put down her quill pen. And she said, will you take me to the city of wonders? I'm sure you'll find your friends there. Really? Is that what you think? Yes, she said. And I've got some friends anyway. You can meet them. Well, all right then. And they went outside. And there was a wooden horse. People were looking at it admiringly, and the brigand said, go away, not for you. They walked on. And the princess said, let's take that down to the quayside. It's where I live, you know. Do you? Okay. And so they dragged the horse through the cobbled streets, and they went down to the quayside, and there was the Queen. And soon the ash boy came home from work to join them. He saw the horse from a distance and stopped. Seemed like he was almost going to run away. Then he controlled himself and walked on. And he looked at the princess. He looked at the horse. And then he looked at the brigand. And the brigand looked at him. And the brigand said, it's you, young lad. And the ash boy said, yes, it's you. And I can explain everything. Oh, don't worry, said the brigand. I know what it's like when you sit on that horse. It just takes you wherever it wants to go. You don't have any choice. And they embraced, old friends, meeting again. and they talked through the night. They each told stories, stories that they had heard, stories of lives innumerable. And when the sun rose the following morning, the brigand said, "Nothing better than to swap stories with friends. And now, let's head for the City of Wonders. The only problem is," he said, "don't actually know where it is." And at that, there was a sound from the princess's pocket. "If I might be so bold as to suggest a direction." The princess looked down. She reached inside her pocket. It was the mouse. Its eyes still bright, its whiskers still flourishing, and it said, "If you want to go there, I can tell you where." "Do you want to go? Do you really want to go?" And they all at once said, "Yes." "Yes," said the storyteller. "Who would not want to go to the City of Wonders?" How they got there and what happened next, I will tell you tomorrow. And so will I. So until then, goodbye.